Hello there, my RPG lovers, and welcome to another video. Role-playing games usually have some gameplay systems and mechanics that are easily recognizable. Now, of course, each individual game has slightly different methods of implementing these common gameplay mechanics, but you probably won't have a lot of problems to understand how they work, especially if you play a lot of games in this genre. The term RPG is definitely being used loosely these days. Even if a game just has a couple of role-playing features like leveling and gear customization, you will probably see the RPG tag somewhere. But we're here to talk about a couple of unique gameplay mechanics that could be used in more RPGs. Did you ever play a game and just fall in love with a certain feature up to the point when you just start wondering why more games are not doing something similar? Well, I certainly have, and that's the reason why this video exists. But before we get to the video, a quick word from today's sponsor. Raziel Dungeon Arena is a free-to-play hack-and-slash RPG for Android and iOS devices. This game features a single-player campaign with full voice acting and high production value. You can also play it in co-op and raid dungeons with your friends, team up in co-op tavern boss battle quests, or explore the world and find random quest givers. It's a dark theme mobile game that focuses on dungeon crawling and defeating bosses. The game has over 60 dungeons and a tag team battle system where you can mix and match heroes to find the best strategy. You have 5 different characters to choose from, each with their own unique background story and skill sets. For example, the Guardian Knight offers a paladin-like gameplay style, the Puppet Master is like a necromancer, the Berserker is your typical warrior, and so on. No matter what style of gameplay you prefer in these types of games, at least one of these characters will probably suit your playstyle. You'll be able to make a unique build as well, and as you would expect from an action RPG, you will have a lot of loot to find and complete armor sets. This game has a diverse set of environments, including dismal swamps, forbidding deserts, desert plateaus, and haunted forests. Indrasoft, the developer of this game, is launching Raziel in September of this year, and it's the first game they ever created. If you are interested in this game and you want to download it, please use the link I provided in the description. Grim Dawn is an amazing Diablo-like action RPG. The gameplay in Grim Dawn has a lot of depth, especially when it comes to creating different builds and customizing your character. But there is one really specific gameplay mechanic called Constitution. Constitution is responsible for regenerating your health outside of combat. That sounds pretty simple, right? But the way it works is actually really unique. The yellow bar that you can see on your health is the amount of Constitution you have. Each time you start losing health in combat, you can try to activate your healing from Constitution. And you can do that by avoiding hits and staying outside the combat for a while. When it actually triggers, you will regenerate all of your health in a matter of seconds, but your Constitution bar will start to deplete. It sounds easy to do, but it can be really tricky in some situations. You can regenerate your Constitution by looting food rations that you can find all over the map. It will also reset whenever you die. The amount of healing you receive will depend on the amount of Constitution you have. You can improve the amount of Constitution you have by equipping gear that will increase that particular stat. You can actually make a whole build around this mechanic if you wish to. And if you thought that this is just a health regeneration mechanic with a twist, you would be wrong. Because you already have a health regeneration stat on top of this, it has nothing to do with the Constitution mechanic. The way that healing works in RPGs is really important, and it's one of those things that can be easily exploitable. A similar mechanic to Constitution could potentially fix some common healing problems in RPGs, like pressing the pause button and eating tons of food, or abusing health potions. It's a really unique mechanic, and I would definitely like to see it in more RPGs. At number 4, we have Dragon's Dogma Climbing System. Dragon's Dogma is an open-world action RPG. This game has an amazing combat system, but one particular feature really stands out. You have the ability to climb on monsters in fights, and this basically adds another dimension to the gameplay. It works pretty simple. Your stamina will slowly deplete when you start climbing, and if it reaches 0, you will fall down and lose your breath for a couple of seconds. All monsters that you climb on will eventually try to shake you off, and you can lose a lot of stamina when this happens. The purpose of climbing on monsters is to try and hit a weak spot for increased damage. I think this is a pretty self-explanatory mechanic, and it's not hard to see why it's so cool. But unfortunately, it seems like it's really hard to implement, and that's probably the reason why we can't see it in more RPGs. I think that even people who didn't like this game could easily agree that climbing on big monsters is just cool and it would be great to experience something similar in more RPGs. But it seems like we need to wait for a sequel to Dragon's Dogma in order to experience this again. By the way, there is a new anime series about Dragon's Dogma on Netflix. I just hope this means that we'll see the sequel to the first game in the near future. At number 3, we have a Knockdown System from GOTY Games. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say, you just had to find a way to talk about these games again. That would be a fair statement, but hear me out. When you manage to beat a human NPC in a fight, you won't instantly kill him. And this works for your character as well, you'll just get knocked down. In order to actually kill someone, you will need to do a finishing move. Now of course, there are exceptions to this rule, so for example if you meet a hostile NPC like a bandit, it's a fight to the death from the beginning. But if you have at least a neutral status with an NPC, when you get into a fight, one of you will be knocked down. If you're the one who is eating dirt, the NPC will usually rob you as well. Sounds fun, right?
Is that gold you've got there? Give here! I had better take this weapon.
I always wanted to see something similar in more action RPGs. This system allows you to make mistakes. You can accidentally hit someone and start a fight, but you won't get killed because of that incident. And if it happens that you have a high reputation in the place where you start the fight, you won't be attacked by other NPCs. Which basically means that you can beat up people and rob them while everyone is watching. They be like, oh, it's the nameless hero beating people up again, he does that. Games like Skyrim and previous Elder Scrolls games have a more sophisticated crime system with jails and it makes more sense. But you can still get killed for attacking a random chicken, which is ridiculous. So I wish we have a similar mechanic like Knockdown in GOTY games, where NPCs like guards will beat you up instead of killing you right away. And confirming a kill is also a great mechanic to have. I wish someone would take this idea and improve it further. At number 2 we have the Nemesis System from Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. I'm kinda cheating here because the Nemesis System is not a single mechanic, it's a full-blown system, as the name would suggest. I did a whole video about this specific topic a few months ago because I really wanted to talk about this amazing gameplay feature. If you're not familiar with Shadow of War, it's a third-person action-adventure game set in the Lord of the Rings universe. A huge part of the main gameplay loop in this game is the Nemesis System. When you start a new playthrough, all enemies that are controlled by this system are randomly generated. Your actions throughout the game will affect those enemies in various ways, making the encounters with them feel unique and interesting. I think it's a perfect system to have in an RPG, and it can solve a lot of problems that we usually have in these games. For example, the most boring types of enemies who are there just to be killed, like bandits, would get an interesting personality and they would definitely be more memorable. Just imagine that some random bandit is trying to kill you because you killed his brother before that. The player could perhaps create the most interesting and memorable moments in the playthrough, and each time you start a new game it will be different. Check out that video I did for the Nemesis System if you want to learn more about it. And we came to the number 1, Skyrim's dual casting mechanic. This might catch you by surprise because you probably take this for granted, but before Skyrim came out, I can't think of an RPG that had a similar way of casting magic. Usually in RPGs, you have one spell that you can cast at any given time, and you have to switch between different spells in order to use them. And previous Elder Scrolls games were like this as well. The first time I saw that you can have 2 different spells in your hands at once, I was blown away. And the fact that you can actually use 2 different spells at once is just amazing, and it feels logical. If you're casting a spell from your hand, why not use both? Just try to imagine the potential of this mechanic and how much it can be expanded and improved. Casting an offensive spell while healing at the same time is just brilliant. And that's just one of the options, you can mix and match spells however you want. Some of the magic mods that you can install can truly show you the potential of this mechanic. But even vanilla Skyrim was amazing when it comes to casting spells, and I think we forgot how crazy this was when it first came out. Every RPG that tries something new when it comes to the way of casting magic deserves to be praised. If it actually works, of course. Some recent RPGs like Outward had a very interesting way of casting magic as well. They described it as step-by-step ritualistic way of casting magic. I think that implementing magic in RPGs allows you to be really creative, so I love when developers go crazy with it. I honestly thought that Skyrim's dual casting will inspire other RPGs to try and do something similar, but that didn't happen as far as I'm aware. I guess we'll need to wait for the Elder Scrolls 6, so get ready to use your both hands for magic in about 20 years or something. And that would be my 5 mechanics that I want to see in more RPGs. Tell me what mechanics or gameplay features you want to see in more games in the comments below. If you liked the video, pressing the thumbs up button would mean a lot. Don't forget to subscribe for more content and click on the bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads. Special thanks to my Patreons, and if you as well want to support this channel in the long run, consider checking out those links in the description. That would be all, and I'll see you in the next one.